Hey everybody, it's Santina from Solo Female Van Life Lessons again, and I'm here to talk to you about my experience car camping while my son had COVID. As most of you know, I was out of my apartment for about 10 days, 2 weekends and a week in between, while he was recovering from COVID and until he tested negative and I was able to go back in. I was car camping in my driveway. I was working full-time on my porch with my Wi-Fi and an extension cord for electric, and it was quite an experience. I learned quite a lot about myself and car camping for me personally during that experience. I do recommend that anyone who is interested in car camping or van lifing set themselves up to have some of those experiences in advance of going full-time, just so they know what it's going to be like and whether or not it's something that they really want to do. I go car camping on weekends quite frequently with my 2 meetup groups, Solo Female Van Life Adventures, which meets virtually Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and East Coast Camping, which meets virtually Mondays, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're interested in getting some experience in car camping or van lifing if you have a van, feel free to join those meetup groups, and after meeting with us a couple of times on virtual calls, you're welcome to come camp with us in person all up and down the East Coast. So let me go over 5 things that I learned about myself while I was full-time car camping, albeit in my driveway at my apartment, but I still did not go into the apartment. I didn't have any of the amenities of the apartment like my bathroom. And so I did learn a lot, and I'm going to go over the top 5 things that I learned. Maybe you'll be able to apply these to your experience as well. The first thing that I learned is that traveling full-time might be more expensive than I thought it would be. So I didn't go very far, obviously. I was working full-time during that week. But what I thought I would do is emulate what I planned to do on the road, which was not really stock up on groceries. I only have a cooler and I don't have a refrigerator, and I wasn't going to buy one. I was just going to grab meals on the go, and I thought that I could do that relatively cheaply. Get a salad at McDonald's, get a sandwich here and there, buy a wrap from Wawa, which is a convenience store we have here in Pennsylvania, run into a grocery store for something to drink, that kind of thing. What I learned, though, especially with the inflation that's happening today, is that the food is a lot more expensive when you're going through a drive-through or running in to grab something. It's more expensive than I anticipated. I figured I'd be spending maybe $2 to $5 at each meal, and I wound up spending more like $10 at each meal, even breakfast. So it was a shock, and I thought I might not be able to afford this kind of eating on the road without stocking up things in my refrigerator. So I did begin to go into Walmart and buy pre-prepared salads and put them in my cooler, and that is what I ate predominantly. The McDonald's $10 breakfast was not cutting it for me, so I decided to eat differently after all and use my cooler. So that's something you might want to consider. You may need a fridge if you do want to eat a certain way, like with a lot of fresh produce or meat. You'll probably need something more like a fridge rather than a cooler and having to stop for ice constantly. The second thing that I learned was that it would be really difficult for me to work at public locations. So if you're thinking of becoming a digital nomad and working full-time or part-time on the road, I learned for myself that I most likely would not be able to work out of public locations using public Wi-Fi. Now, I was able to get Wi-Fi outside of Walmart, sitting in my car, or outside of a pizza shop or a coffee shop. I was able to get Wi-Fi there, but I did not take my work laptop and attempt to work through that public Wi-Fi. I was just looking at videos to see if the Wi-Fi would work. If I was to go into a Starbucks or McDonald's and use the Wi-Fi for work, there would be a lot of distractions in the background, even though I know I can blur out the background and put a different background on. I would have to use headphones, which I did use while I was working on my porch because I live on a busy road. But it would be very challenging for me to, 1, not be distracted, and 2, for there not to be so much background noise that it would, even with headphones, would be challenging for me to listen to the meetings that I was on. So I'm not sure that if I do decide to continue working before I get on the road, if I'm going to be able to be a digital nomad with my job and my type of meetings. I do a lot of presentations, for instance, and it's very distracting. It was even very distracting to have cars going up and down my road while I was trying to give my presentation. Maybe that's just me. I'm like squirrel. But anyway, so I learned something about myself that maybe I wouldn't be able to work when I'm full-time on the road. The third thing that I learned is that it's really inconvenient not to have a full bathroom setup in your rig. Now, I could have come into my apartment, put on a mask, used the bathroom here, and then gone back outside. I do have a pee bottle. I did use that while I was in my driveway. I have a mechanic shop that's on one side of me, a neighbor on the other. All I did was open my front door and my back door on my driver's side and use the pee bottle in between those two doors so no one could see anything. And that was convenient. And then I would disperse the urine on my grass. But if I had to go to the bathroom and I needed to use a flush toilet, I needed to, poop, then number one, I don't have a bucket yet. I do plan to have a bucket in a van, but I can't use a bucket in my car. It's not tall enough. So if I were to try to utilize restrooms along the way, which I do plan to do, even if I have a bucket, I don't plan to use it as much as public restrooms, it would be very inconvenient, and here's why. So obviously, when you get the urge, sometimes it's more urgent than not, and it's very difficult when you have that urge to then pack up all your stuff, take the time to shove everything in the car, that like the back of the tent on my hatchback. I'd have to pull that down, shove it away. If it's wet, I'd probably have to put it in a plastic bag so that everything else didn't get wet. And then you drive a couple of miles down the road, and by that time, maybe you don't have the urge anymore, or maybe it's more challenging to get that urge back. It's just really inconvenient. What if I had a meeting when I had the urge? I can't just run in for the minute before the meeting, go to the bathroom, run back out and take the call. I'd have to drive a distance, and it would take many more minutes than it would just to run into the bathroom. So that would have been incredibly inconvenient. And just the fact that I had to take down the tent that I had up, let's say in the evening, I put the tent up on my hatchback to have the cool air in the evening and keep the bugs out. If I had to go to the bathroom in the evening and had to take that tent down, then I could have all kinds of mosquitoes in my car. So I did learn that it was not very convenient to have to travel to a bathroom on the road. And so while I plan, when I do go full-time, to use the bathrooms that I come across, I will definitely need a bucket for those times when I don't want to pack up everything and move. Number 4 is clothes and laundry. Now, I had clothes with me because I had been at my parents' house before my son called me to tell me he had COVID. So I had a suitcase with all of my amenities in it, my clothing, my cosmetics, everything, which was really convenient. But I didn't have a way to take a shower at my house when I was living outside of it. I did have a spigot with water, so I took some sponge bath kinds of things. I had a washcloth and I had some body wash. But if I had been full-time on the road for a lot longer than those 10 days, I would have had to wash my clothes at a laundromat, which means I would have to drive to the laundromat, have quarters to do the laundry. Maybe they take debit cards now, I don't know. Have laundry detergent and anything else I needed for the laundry, and sit there and wait and watch my clothes spin while I was doing laundry, probably read a book or something. But you are restricted when you put your clothes into a laundromat machine. A lot of people don't like to leave because people do steal clothing. I did experience that in college. I don't know if that's a thing in regular laundromats, but I imagine it could be. And you know, obviously you want to make it as short of an activity as possible. You want to catch the clothes when they first end the wash cycle and throw them right into the dryer. You want to catch the clothes as soon as they're dry so you can fold them and get the heck out of there. So that would have been also pretty inconvenient. and not something that I'm not sure if I'm gonna be very tolerant of that while I'm on the road. That remains to be seen, but this was an eye-opener because when I go car camping for the weekend, I don't have to do laundry. So all of these experiences that I had while I was car camping when my son had COVID really helped me to see some of the downside of van lifing full time that I wouldn't have seen otherwise with just weekend car camping. So it was very, very good experience in that respect. And the number 5 reason why I think I might not want to do van life full time was this weird feeling. It's like a discombobulation. I felt very, not sure how to explain it. It felt very awkward not to have a home base. I felt very unsettled. I had some anxiety, even though I was right next to my apartment. Literally, my car was right next to my deck and my door to walk in. There was something about not feeling like I couldn't go home or feeling like I didn't have a home that was very disconcerting to me. I did not expect this. I always expected that when I got into my van and fixed it up the way I wanted to fix it up, had my bed and my possessions in it, that it would feel just like home and I wouldn't miss a home base or sticks and bricks. I'm not so sure now. It felt very strange not to have all the conveniences, the running water in a sink to brush your teeth as opposed to a spigot outside. All of the little things that you take for granted. Opening the refrigerator and grabbing a snack as opposed to wondering if you should open your cooler because it's going to let the cold air out and if things will spoil before you have a chance to eat them. All of these things kind of added up to a sense of dis-ease for me being in my car. Now granted, it was unexpected. I did have all the equipment I needed, which I was very grateful for. Because of my experience car camping, I had everything I needed. I had the money to be able to buy things that I didn't have, like the extension cord to reach outside of my apartment to the front porch so I could plug in my laptop and my phone. But there was something about feeling like I was not able to go home that felt really strange. And I wonder if I would experience that again if I were to move out of my apartment, end the lease, and move into a van full time. I do wonder for myself if I'm going to experience some feelings of anxiety and being unsettled. So something to think about, even when you're car camping on the weekends or for a week or 10 days, you know that you're able to go back home eventually, wash your clothes, take a shower. There's a sense, for me anyway, of peace knowing that I have that home base to go back to. If I don't have that home base, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel. So wanted to raise these 5 reasons why I might not like to go full-time van life, and perhaps you'll be able to get something out of this and think for yourself how you would feel in that full-time van life position. Is that going to work for you, or are these things that you would be concerned about too? I hope this helps. I wish everyone safe travels, and thanks for watching.